Come on, let's take a stroll down on the beach. It'll be fun. So, I am going to be taking the next week and a half or so and basically going on vacation. I'm seeing a friend I haven't seen in a long time. I'm spending some time with my partner. Then I've got a family vacation with my daughter and her mother all together. And I'm not going to be making new videos while that's going on. However, I have done something where I have pre-recorded these and they will be released as I go along. And that will be reviews of Broadchurch, first series of it, episode by episode. So new episode reviews daily, basically until I get to the end of the thing. Doctor Who will still come out on Sunday. That doesn't change. But the rest of it, yeah, that's how I'm going to fill out this time so that I can, take a break. So Broadchurch is something I've been meaning to get around to for a while. I watched the first episode of the first series a while back. Feels like it was about a year. Maybe it wasn't that long ago. But it didn't grab me enough that I kept going. But this time I'm committed. I'm going to watch the entire first series and get through it and see what I think about it. Because obviously a lot of people have recommended it to see if it impacts my thoughts on either Chris Chibnall taking over as showrunner for Doctor Who or Jodie Whittaker playing the role of the Doctor. And after one episode, I can't answer those questions. That's something I'll probably touch back on when I do, at the very end of all this. I might do an overview with my thoughts on the thing, or maybe I'll wrap it into the final episode review. I don't know. We'll figure this out as we go. So, Broadchurch, and these are going to contain spoilers. It's not a new series. I figure I'm safe to do that. But it opens pretty well, and it did hit me a little bit better this time than it did on first viewing. Yet at the same time, watching it again, I could see why it didn't grab me hard enough that I kept with it initially. So starting with the cast is all good so far. Aside from Whittaker, really, nobody's called on to do all that much. The guy who plays the dad, honestly, he had what should have been his moment to shine. His moment going to the morgue to see the body, and I don't know, something about that moment just didn't ring true. Let me put it this way. It's very obvious that this episode, and probably the show as a whole, is really going for gut punches as it goes along. And really, there were only a handful of things that actually delivered that when obviously there were supposed to be more. So like the father in the morgue didn't gut punch me. I suppose in case... Maybe I should back up. I suppose in case you are watching this and haven't seen the show but also don't care about spoilers, the first series deals with the death of a young boy in a small coastal English town, and the investigation that goes on trying to find out what happened to this boy and how he died and who was involved with that. And it's pretty much all set up in this first episode, laying out some of the characters who are going to be involved, which include obviously his immediate family, which is a mother, father, and sister, as well as a grandparent. Some of the other town residents, such as the guy who runs the local news agent, where the boy would get his paper route from. We've met a priest. We've met a reporter. We've met 2 cops and their boss. New to the force is David Tennant as lead investigator. And then we have the woman who was basically promised that job and then was passed over for David Tennant, who wasn't even from that town. And David Tennant is apparently coming off some sort of controversy on the last case that he handled. Hasn't been blatantly addressed yet. So that's what we've got here. So I mentioned the father, his whole thing in the morgue, looking at the body, because he's the only family member who goes and looks at it. I don't know, there was something artificial about it, and I don't know if it was the writing or the performance. The moments that hit me emotionally, it was basically 2, or maybe 3. Basically, anytime Jodie Whittaker broke down, that hit me. If you've been watching my Black Mirror reviews, you'll know I'm a really easy target for serious emotional damage when it comes to endangered or dead children and the impact of those sorts of things. But before she finds out, I think the show does a really good job of illustrating basically a parent's worst nightmare. This, you know, oh, I'm sure everything's fine. Huh. He's not where I thought he would be. Huh. No one's seen him at the places where normally they would have seen him by now. Huh. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. I wonder what's going on. And then, you know, she gets stuck in this traffic jam, gets told there's a body on the beach, and she just abandons her car and runs. And when she sees, all she sees are his shoes, because the rest is under a tarp. And that, yeah, that hit. That was solid. And she has a moment of crying later on that also rang very true. She communicates that kind of raw emotion very well. And maybe that's the thing, because she does a really good job of bringing a reality to the emotions you feel in the moment, whereas the moment with the father in the morgue, it just felt scripted. It didn't feel genuine. It didn't feel raw. And I don't mean that like he should have an identical reaction to Jodie Whittaker. They're different characters. They're allowed to behave different ways. It felt more like acting. Whittaker felt more like being. And you know, if that's the level that she's gonna bring, he didn't match it. The other moment that really got me was the other police investigator, the one who isn't David Tennant. I'm sure I'll start to remember these names after a few more episodes. But her explaining to her son, who was friends with this boy, that he's dead, and with her eyes all watered up and sniffling back tears and pain, and having to tell her son that his best friend's dead. Which, of course, then leads us to the son deleting a whole bunch of text messages and stuff off his computer, and we don't know why. So, this is a decent enough setup. My concerns are where the balance is going to be found, because this is very obviously setting things up for a mix of character drama and mystery solving, which are two things that can go quite well together, but they're also two things that can very much distract from each other. You know, when you're dealing with a deep dive character piece, having to go through the logistics of a mystery investigation can give some of that character development or arcs or whatever the short shrift. On the flip side, if you keep diving into, you know, the motivations, histories of these characters, it can leave people who are here for the mystery going, okay, I don't care. How was this done? So getting that balance in and of itself is going to be tricky. And then I will be curious as it goes along to see if I get a sense of whether it is intended to be more of a mystery or more of a character drama. I'm not sure which one I would prefer. Inherently, I kind of incline towards mystery a little bit more, but you know, I will be really curious. I think maintaining the balance is going to be the thing, because we've met an interesting cast of characters. Enough questions have been raised. There's a little bit of intrigue, and the information we've gotten on the characters so far all feels relevant. It's just a question of whether or not that that remains. I think one last just total side note before I wrap this one up. Right now, the character that I'm the angriest at isn't whoever killed the boy. Not that I'm like okay with that, because, you know, I'm not, and whoever it was should definitely get what's coming to them. But there's a reporter from a bigger newspaper who comes into town, and she goes to the spot on the beach where people have been leaving, you know, flowers, bouquets, pictures, etc. And the boy's sister had left a stuffed monkey, presumably one that had belonged to Danny, to the young boy. And this reporter takes it and puts it in her purse, and leaves with it. I don't know why. I don't know what she intends to do with it, but it immediately made me hate her a hell of a lot more than anybody else in this thing. It's a bit how I think a lot of Harry Potter fans hate Dolores Umbridge a lot more than they hate Voldemort. Like, I understand the guy who killed a kid is worse than this reporter who is just removing a symbol of a sister's love to her dead brother. But I'm sorry, I hate her more right now in the instance of having to watch it. So I hope I'm supposed to hate her, because I do. Yeah. So I think that's it. This is episode 1 of Broadchurch. There are 8 episodes, I believe, in the first series. So we'll see how this goes. It's a good, solid setup. Like I said, it didn't, truly get its hooks into me, but it is intriguing, and I am curious to see how it pans out and where things go from here. So Broadchurch episode 1, I'm assuming you've probably seen it. It's been out for a while, but whatever your thoughts on it are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Please don't put spoilers for later episodes for the courtesy of other viewers. Stick to the episodes that are actually the ones being reviewed or the ones prior as we go along with all this. So that'll do it, folks. Thanks so much for watching. There's all the stuff to do, like support me on Patreon and follow me on Twitter, listen to my podcast. Links for all that stuff and more is down in the description. So until next time, this council is adjourned.